Hey, how are you guys doing? It's Dawnna St. Louis, and I'm getting ready to head out. But before I did, I wanted to make sure that I got in today's chapter as promised on the 6 kick-ass strategies of the $1 million entrepreneur. And of course, you can get your copy if you're following along at get6ix.com. That's get6.com. Hey, Michael, how are you? So we are on page 45, and specifically, we're starting with understanding your value. And just as a reminder, let me get you a little picture here so you'll know what we're talking about. We are working through the first 4 strategies. I don't know if you guys can see that because there's such a reflection today, but we're working on the first 4 strategies. And right now we're in the funding strategy. We're in that money strategy, right? And if you're an entrepreneur and it's Saturday, then you're at work, right? Because like I said in the book, entrepreneurs will work 20 hours a day for themselves so they don't have to work 1 minute for anyone else, right? And you know, it's been a fantastic couple of days. So let's get going. All right, so we're going to talk about understanding your value. Give you a little bit of review. We talked about the 7 triggers that cause buyers to buy. We used some examples in regards to BMW. We talked about how to leverage the emotional justification versus the logical justification to get people to buy. We talked about the 4 ways that people logically justify taking action. And let's see. And we also talked about what marketing is and what it is not. So let me say hellos. Hey, how are you doing? Aretha Murchison. By the way, she has a gorgeous house, gorgeous son, gorgeous family. And it was great to see her over there in the Dallas area. Hi, Mohammed. How are you doing? And of course, hello, Mr. Bentley. How are you doing, Michael? All right. So understanding your value. Here we go. 2 of the most valuable pricing lessons I learned in business had to do with a Ferrari. It changed how I look at doing my business with people and how I priced my offering. Lesson number 1, answer the following questions. Would you buy a $240,000 Ferrari for $20,000? This is all the information you need. Now, what's your answer? Yes or no? There are 2 ways really to think about this question. There are several, but there are 2 primary ways. The first way is to say no. Clearly, there's something wrong with the Ferrari. Thank you, Aretha. Or B, yes, I would definitely buy it because the seller is either desperate or an idiot, but I'm getting a fantastic deal. If you answered A, you recognize that when a deal is too good to be true, it probably is, and you walk away. If you answered B, then you think the seller is stupid and you've likely underestimated the person on the other side of the deal. Underestimating who you're doing business with is the second biggest mistake in business. Got to think about that. All right, so that's the first lesson. Never, ever underestimate the person that you're doing business with. Hey, Aretha, I might be coming back to Dallas soon because it looks like I'm going to ink a deal to speak for this conference, this women's conference, and one of their stops is in Dallas. I'll let you know in March. All right, lesson number 2. Here's lesson number 2. You just purchased a $240,000 Ferrari for $240,000. Yeah, there were no deals here. After 6 months of NASCAR level in-town driving, you need to get some brakes. You get 2 estimates. Jethro's service shop is pretty sure that brakes are brakes and a Ferrari is no different from a Ford. Jethro's estimate is about $250. You get the second estimate from a certified Ferrari mechanic who tells you that just the front brake set of brakes costs $550. He estimates that it will run you $1,250 for all 4 wheels, including labor. When you are pushing the limits on that next curve and really need your brakes to perform at the highest possible level, whose work do you trust with your life? Jethro at $250 or the certified Ferrari mechanic for $1,000 more at $1,250? Most people who prefer not to eat their food through a straw for the rest of their lives would choose B. See, me and you, Aretha, I'm like, no. I need to make sure that I'm all right. The reasons are clear. They want to know that they'll be safe and secure. A certified mechanic charging a reasonable rate gives you the confidence you need to press the accelerator and the brake pedal when you're doing 150 miles an hour. This is the first lesson in pricing. First, never underestimate, in rare cases, overestimate your value. Many times organizations price themselves as Jethro and then wonder why they have limited business. If it's too cheap, there is something wrong with it. Jethro might be a fantastic mechanic, but if he can't see his value, then why should his customer? I tell this to people who are starting their expert-based business all the time. When I have my retreats, the number one challenge that I run into, or one of the top challenges I run into, is around pricing. When we start talking about a pricing strategy. And people think that price is their differentiator. So what they do is they consistently lower their price in order to be competitive. Pricing does not make you as competitive as you might think it does. Don't get me wrong. You can't price yourself so outside of the market that people are just like, are you crazy? But at the same point, if you price yourself too cheap, no one's going to buy you. Like I said, I like shoes. I told you guys this yesterday. I like shoes. Like I got a shoe problem. It is really an issue. However, my shoes have to be comfortable. They have to be sexy. They have to be stylish. They got to have really high heels. They have to be able to secure me as I am running up and down the aisles and across stages, which I do all the time in 6-inch heels. And I'm sorry, I am not trusting that to a pair of shoes that cost me $1. I don't care if the bottoms are red, blue, purple, or gold. I feel more secure when I pay for what I get. And I always feel like I get what I pay for. Okay, so think about that when you're doing your own pricing strategy. You don't want to price yourself out of the market too high, but you also don't want to price yourself too low where people just don't take you seriously. All right. Hey, Amia, how are you doing, sweetie? So when marketing works, really works is our next section, and we're on page 47. When the solutions defined in your marketing relieves the frustrations, you get results like that of Dollar Shave Club. So Dollar Shave Club was really cool because they did this little fad diagram. They kind of filled it in. So what they did was they identified the frustration of their customer, right? And they said the running out of blades was kind of painful for guys. They always thought the blades were too expensive, and getting the blades when you went into the store was like, you had to have like a security clearance just to get a shaving blade out. Then what they were afraid of is that, they were going to run out of money. They were going to have a scruffy beard. The stores were going to be closed, and they were going to have to use old razors. What their customer wanted was they wanted blades on demand for a fair price, and they wanted them to be easy to access. In fact, having them delivered to their front door was perfect. And what was the breakthrough that Dollar Shave Club came up with? Blades delivered at a fair price, and no using old razors or ever running out. That's really what you want to do. You want to make sure that you're filling out a fad diagram for your customer. You want to know what their frustrations and their desires are and how that ties to your breakthrough. Because every frustration that your customer has leads to a fear, right? If someone told me that they couldn't do a good resume, they're like, no matter what I do, I can't do a resume. I'm sitting here, I've been working on it forever. My resume just sucks. That's their frustration. What is their fear? They're afraid that if they have a bad resume, then they won't get hired. Their resume will be at the bottom of the stack. What is their desire? It's the exact opposite of their frustration. Their desire is that they want a great resume, and it's going to be at the top of the stack. Your job is to come up with a breakthrough when you offer your services that meets their desires and gets rid of their fears. So anyway, let's go back to the Dollar Shave Club. So the Dollar Shave Club was founded by Mark Levine and Michael Dubin. The pair met at a party and spoke of their frustrations with the cost and challenge of buying razor blades. When their own money and investments from startup incubator Science Inc., with that money, they began operations in January 2011. On March 6, 2012, the company uploaded a YouTube video entitled Our Blades Are Effing Great, featuring CEO Michael Dubin. The video prompted 12,000 orders in a 2-day span after it was released. As of March 2016, they've received over 22 million views. 22 million. Hey, Kate, how are you? It's so good to see you. When we mapped theirs to their frustrations, their fears, their desires, their breakthroughs, DSC solved the fear and frustration associated with buying blades. They tapped into the negative emotion as the buyer was feeling and gave them a positive alternative. As a result, Dollar Shave Club delivers 16 blades to a subscriber's door for about $9 to $16 a month. While that seems like a huge discount, it's only a savings of about $1 a week. I know, a lot of people are like, wait, what? Yeah, people think they're making this huge savings. They're not. It's only $1 a week. See, they didn't have to price themselves out of the market in order to do something amazing. All right, we're going to talk about leads and sales, page 48. Great leads are a direct result of great marketing. If your marketing is great and your leads are great, then sales should be easier. If you're still struggling with sales, then take a look at the quality of your sales team, your pricing, or your sales process. And usually, by the way, it's not your pricing, because if your marketing is good, then the customers know the price when they walk in. So it might not even be your pricing. Poor marketing causes poor leads, which causes you and your sales team to work overtime just to make a single sale. If you hate your leads, take a closer look at your marketing strategy and potentially go back to your focus strategy. And we talked about this. So over here in marketing, if your marketing is bad over here, right, then you're not going to get the leads you want. So then you have to go back over here to your focus, and you have to look at your focus and say, well, is it my expertise? Is it my target market? Or is it the product? In 1997, the Taco Bell Chihuahua was the fast food chain's biggest attempt to establish a mascot for their brand. And while everyone was quoting the dog's "Yo quiero Taco Bell" catchphrase, the ads were directly linked to a 6% drop in Taco Bell sales. Competitors claimed that Taco Bell was advertising that their food was a dish only a dog would eat. But if you look closer, the dog and its catchphrase were gimmicks that didn't connect with the buyer emotionally. This poor marketing strategy led to a decline in sales. See, they didn't make you feel good about their food. They made you think the dog was cute, but it didn't make you feel good about their food. So let's talk about edu-sales. Ken's Crafts designs unique corporate gifts from sustainably sourced wood. His target market consists of salespeople or executives who want to give interesting gifts, something other than a run-of-the-mill. His clients have a higher than average budgets and are looking for fewer than 500 pieces. When Ken's Crafts cultivates a lead that meets their company's criteria, the only thing he needs to do is educate his buyer. Educate his buyer. That's the important thing. Ken can then talk about the quality of his work, turnaround times, design specialty, other services, and the added bonus of delivering a story about the source of the wood. This is important because this is exactly what happened to me. But Ken never has to convince his target market that his product is for them or that they need to deliver unique gifts. They already know this. And for Ken, understanding the nuance between convince and convey allows him to make speedy, selective decisions about what leads to pursue. So I'm going to show you the customer curve because this will really help you understand this. So I worked with Ken and I said I wanted some really cool letter openers, and I wanted them to be made out of sustainable wood. Such a cool idea, right? So not only does he make these really cool letter openers, he will also tell you specifically which tree they came from. He's on like this really old property, so some of the wood is from the 1800s. Sometimes they came from like barns or something like that, and he gives you a story behind the piece of wood. So that means that when I give those to clients, I can literally say, this isn't just a letter opener. This is a letter opener that was made from wood from a barn from the 1800s, blah, blah, blah. So there's a whole story to go behind it. He knows that his clients recognize the value of that story. So he doesn't have to convince them to buy letter openers. He just has to educate them into why the story is important. And it works every time. So we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I'm going to talk to you again. This is what I was talking about yesterday in regards to the convince versus convey. If you're spending all your time in the red, you're literally convincing buyers that they should buy from you. Where you really want to be is you want to be on the side where you're just conveying the value of the product. That's where you want to be. That's all Ken has to do. He just has to convey the value of the product and then explain. And then I already know how that product solves my issue. The secret sauce to sales has little to do with your history or your product, but relies on how well you educate your buyer. That's what matters. If they knew what you knew about your offering, would they buy? If the answer is no, then you need to change your line of work. Think about that one more time. If your customer knew what you knew about your product, would they buy? If the answer is no, change your line of work because you're doing something, maybe it's unethical, maybe there's something wrong with it. But if my customer knows as much as I do about my product and they don't want to buy it, there is a problem. I followed Chris Dingman's path and learned just enough about marketing to be dangerous. By creating enticing campaigns for my target market, my sales funnel delivered a stream that ended my income drought. I had a long way to go, but after 6 months, 2 days, 2 weeks, 3 days, 11 hours, and 13 minutes, it felt good finally in my business to be heading in the right direction. All right, so there we go. We're done. So we are going to talk tomorrow about how to optimize your operations. This is another challenge that entrepreneurs go through, is that their operations get all crazy. So here's the big takeaway from this piece of it. You have to make sure you understand your customers' frustrations, what's really driving them batshit crazy. Then you have to make sure that you understand the fears that come from those frustrations and the desires. Once you understand their fears and desires, then you want to educate your customer in regards to your product, because the more educated they are about your product and what you offer, the more likely they are to buy. So yes, education is the transportation to your destination. Absolutely. Educate your client. Your educated client is the best buyer that you can have. Once you have educated them, so that's all in marketing, that buyer then can turn into a lead. Once you have them as a lead, it is then your job to make sure that you're making sure that from your marketing, now you're educating them individually. What is it that their frustrations are and how do you get there? And then you're over to sales. Now, I will tell you one trick that I do with sales that really, and I mean, it really works. When I'm working with a client, the one thing that I do in sales is I let them know in the first email that now we're actually in the sales process. I let them know, here are the next 4 or 5 steps that we're going to take and who's responsible for each step. By doing that, by simply telling them what the steps are and who's responsible for each step, the customer feels invested in the process. So now all of a sudden they're sitting there going, okay, well, Dawnna's going to do this, and then she's expecting me to do this within a certain amount of time. By making them a part of the process, they're more likely to follow it all the way to the end. They know when a ball is dropped, who dropped it, and they never want that to be them. So that's one of my tricks that I do in regards to sales that really works. And it's not really a trick. It's, again, more of that education. The more information, not information overload, but the more information I give my customer in regards to the process of what happens next, the more likely they are to follow that process all the way to the end, or as I call it, to a closed deal. Anyway, I promised you guys I was going to do this every day. So it's Saturday and I'm an entrepreneur, which means I'm working. And and I'll also see you again tomorrow. Now, tomorrow we're going to talk about strategy, and that's going to be on page 53. If you want to follow along, all you have to do is go to six.com. Get 6, the number 6. Did I say the number S? The number 6ix.com. Get6.com. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and share this. Please share this as much as possible, because there are tons of entrepreneurs who are dying to get some of the information out of here. And you know what? People don't like to read all the time. So this gives them an opportunity to listen to the book from beginning to end. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.